I'm just amazed by the speed of social media and the advent of technology. You probably already know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, my subject is SideChickology. And I am dead serious. I got this message the same way I get all of them. This is the word for this church today. SideChickology. Is that what thou beest? Could you be living with side chickdom? Let's pray. Father, please speak to us in a helpful way today. Very serious subject. I pray that somebody would be enlightened, empowered, delivered, rescued, protected, lives saved, families saved, marriages saved and rescued. Do something supernatural as a result of this word. We avail ourselves to you for instruction in Jesus' name. Amen. I happen to be in love with a God who doesn't just encourage me when I'm wrong, when I'm down, but he corrects me when I'm wrong. And we should love and appreciate that side of God too, not just those messages that say it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right. But we should appreciate those messages that say, you know what, you don't get it together, you're going to have some problems. And some messages are warnings, and this one seems to fall along that category for us. I want to look at this topic. In the Bible, the people I'm going to look at in the Bible, they weren't called side chicks, they were called mistresses. I figured we just connect the term to modernity. I could have said, call it jump off. That wouldn't have been nice. So we're going to go with side chick. And then my guess is it's going to be really quiet in here. Especially this service. Amen. It's going to be pretty. This is the pin drop service, I'm telling you right now. Ain't going to be a whole lot of, come on, say that, wow. Most people would be terribly uncomfortable for this entire presentation. I can tell you right now, people are going to be squirming, and everybody got to go to the bathroom. People are going to try to say, there are people right now telling somebody, they're texting somebody, watch them. They're texting somebody and say, please call me in 5 minutes. Because I need it to seem like I got to get out of this sanctuary right now. I got to get off this message. But we pray that this will be helpful to you. If you hear any laughter, it'll probably be very nervous laughter. Like, we're going to get through it. Genesis chapter 16. I want to tell you what I think makes side chicks possible. What I think makes side chicks possible is side chicks enter where there's a deficit. They seem to be effective at picking up where there's lack. In Genesis chapter 16, one of the most prominent side chicks in history is a lady named Hagar. Now, Hagar was an official side chick. She was a concubine. She was a mistress. Some of these side chicks today don't even have an official title. They just side chicks. Don't even have the license or nothing. She was married, but she was married to somebody else's husband who set her up to be supportive in a supportive role. Let me read it to you. Genesis 16:1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, the Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. By the way, I'm just going to sit down and talk to y'all. This is going to be a conversation. Just like we out at dinner. We out at a restaurant. We're just having a conversation. We're just conversing. So Sarai says, I can't have children. Why don't you sleep with my servant? Perhaps I can have children through her. And the end of verse 2, Abram agreed with Sarah's proposal. And I always chuckle at that because he didn't even say, nah, babe, we ain't going to do that. We got to just stand. I ain't going to compromise. She said, you want to have sex with somebody else? He said, yeah, I'll do that. Let's go with that. Verse 3, so Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as a wife. This happened 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan. So now Sarai or Sarah can't have children, so enter Hagar, the side chick. Genesis chapter 29, in verse 31, there's another side chick named Leah. Leah has a sister named Rachel. I'll read more about her later. But they're married to the same man named Jacob. Listen to what the Bible says about Leah. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, that's by Jacob, he enabled her to have children, but Rachel could not conceive. Now, I read those two things because this is where I think side chicks, this is sort of the causation, the origin of side chicks. Side chicks is really, they emerge when there is something the wife is either unable to do or maybe unwilling to do. Side chicks emerge when there is something that a wife is unable to do, like have children, like Sarah and Rachel were unable to have children. Or sometimes a side chick emerges when there's something a wife is unwilling to do. Like sometimes wives are unwilling to have fun with their husbands, to go water skiing, jet skiing with their husbands, or to go to the movies with their husbands, or to have fun. Some husbands don't feel supported by their wives. They don't feel celebrated by their wives. And you'd be surprised, this is what's deep about when a man is unfaithful to his wife. Usually the woman he's unfaithful with is not more attractive than his wife. She's just more attentive. You go to him and look at who you serious? That's who? You left your family for her? It's because she paid attention. She was a closer of deficits. She studied him. His feelings were important. She praised him. While she was cheering him, his wife was jeering him. And the energy he was getting at home was so negative, the energy he got from her was so positive that after a while it didn't matter how she looked. Did I tell y'all that Red Fox joke? Did I say that in here? You have to be very careful when you tell a Red Fox joke. Red Fox said that when I grew up on Red Fox. I didn't grow up in church. I grew up on comedy. So that's how I got discipled. Red Fox and them discipled me. So Red Fox said that he was at a bar one time after a show, and he was sitting at the bar drinking, and he said, this huge woman, he says if she wasn't 450 pounds, he says at least she was 450 pounds. And she came over to the bar and winked at him and blew him a kiss. And he said he got sick to his stomach thinking about what she had on her mind. But he said every drink he had, she lost 100 pounds. He said, by that fifth drink, she looked like Marilyn Monroe. See, when a woman knows what a man's love language is and she speaks it fluently, her looks become less important. Attentive. Now, I'm not saying that it's justifiable, but I'm saying to you ladies, you need to be attentive at home with your man. This is all about protecting him from a side chick. Well, it goes the same way with men. If you look at Proverbs chapter 7, because a lot of times when we think of a side chick, we think of a single woman. But there's some married side chicks too. You can be married and be a side chick. You can have a husband and a side guy. Proverbs chapter 7, verse 6. Listen to this. While I was at the window of my house looking through the curtains, I saw some naive young men, and one in particular who lacked common sense. He was crossing the street near the house of an immoral woman, strolling down the path by her house. It was at twilight in the evening as deep darkness fell. The woman approached him seductively, dressed and sly of heart. She was the brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. She is often in the streets and markets, soliciting at every corner. She threw her arms around him and kissed him, and with a brazen look she said, I have just made peace offerings and fulfilled my vows. You're the one I was looking for. I came out to find you, and here you are. My bed is spread with beautiful blankets, with colored sheets of Egyptian linen. I perfume my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Come, let us drink our fill of love until morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses. Watch this, verse 19. For my husband is not home. He's away on a long trip. He has taken a wallet full of money with him and won't return until later this month. This is a married woman. See, married women become side chicks because something's missing in their own marriage. And in this case, to me, in Proverbs chapter 7, you have a woman who is disconnected from her husband. He's out traveling, he's on the road, and I don't know what he was doing, but it couldn't have been business because of the way. She said he's on a long trip and he took a wallet full of money. He ain't working. He's out. That's a pleasure trip. You take a wallet full of money, you're going on a pleasure trip. You're going to Brazil. He was going to Vegas. How can a man go to Brazil or Vegas without his wife and think that's going to be okay? We're going with the fellas. See, this is for every man. See, this is a woman who's a side chick for somebody else because she's got a husband who's not paying attention. Everybody say attention. At the end of the day, the core need of a side chick is attention. That's what she wants. And fellas, we must pay attention to our wives. Otherwise, you might be unintentionally grooming your wife to be a side chick because you're not paying attention to them. Now, we may not have women today who would go strolling down the streets in the middle of the night, propositioning strange men, but we do have women who will stroll through Facebook and stroll through Instagram and stroll through social media, picking up old flames. We do have women who will run into somebody at Walmart who they haven't seen since high school, and just because he said, "You're still looking good." Now you're all on his profile, accepting his friend request. And you know what's wild? A man will be out in Brazil cutting up with all kinds of women and come home and find out his wife friended an old boyfriend on Facebook and he breaking up stuff in the house. I can't take it. You got to be crazy. You have created an environment of infidelity. How can you not go have fun with your wife? See, a lot of marriages are empty and barren because the two people who are married are not working to have fun together. You should put at least as much work into keeping your wife as you did to get her. Now, to every woman that a man got you without working, that's your fault. You've already lowered the standard. You ain't got to do much to get me, so you sure ain't got to do much to keep me. You got to make a brother work so that he has a work ethic. Glory to God. Dang, he ain't got to take you nowhere. He ain't got to take you nowhere to propose. You can propose to me right here in church. Just say you want to marry me right here in church. I'll say, hallelujah. There must be an investment to protect the relationship from people who are outside of the relationship who are much more, who are willing to pay attention where we're not. At the end of the day, many people just want some attention. But this man is traveling. He's on the road. He's handling his business. He's a workaholic. He's always watching the game. He's always behind his newspaper. He's always tinkering around the garage. And you wonder why there's this disconnection. You got to pay attention. I told you it was going to be quiet in here. Let me show you something else about side chicks. In Genesis 29, let me show you how Leah and Rachel, who are sisters, ended up with the same man. Verse 16, Genesis 29. Now Laban had two daughters. The oldest daughter was named Leah, and the younger was Rachel. There was no sparkle in Leah's eyes, but Rachel had a beautiful figure and a lovely face. And since Jacob was in love with Rachel, he told her father, I will work for 7 years if you'll give me Rachel, your younger daughter, as my wife. Agreed, Laban replied. I'd rather give her to you than anyone else. Stay and work with me. So Jacob worked 7 years to pay for Rachel, but his love for her was so strong that it seemed to him but a few days. Finally, the time came for him to marry her. I have fulfilled my agreement, Jacob said to Laban. Now give me my wife so I can sleep with her. That's pretty bold. I'm going to say that to somebody's father about their daughter. So verse 22, so Laban invited everyone in the neighborhood and prepared a wedding feast. But that night, when it was dark, Laban took Leah to Jacob, and he slept with her. In verse 25, but when Jacob woke up in the morning, it was Leah. What have you done to me? Jacob raged at Laban. I worked 7 years for Rachel. Why have you tricked me? See, it was at night. It was a wedding. It was at night. He brought her to his tent. She was veiled. He couldn't see. They didn't have electricity. So he thought that was Rachel, But when he woke up, he saw it was Leah, because in the morning, all the truth come out. See, y'all going to try to act like y'all ain't never went to bed and woke up and say, what the heck is that? I know y'all trying to fake. Well, the reason why I read that story is because even though Leah, being a side chick, was forced on her, what the story and the cover-up and the deception tells me is that all side chick relationships are really tainted by deception and cover-up. That they're born out of deception and cover-up. That's how they're nurtured and developed. And let me tell you something, covering up stuff is costly. Deception is costly. Most people never calculate and quantify how much it costs you to cover up your stuff. Think about cover-up costs. Hiding receipts. Cleaning out your cell phone, trying to make sure. Do you know how scary it is when you slick with your phone to leave it somewhere and your wife get it? You be like, you ain't even like, hey, babe, did I leave my phone at home? There are people who, if they left their phone at home, would turn around in the middle of the road, hit 3 people to get home to find out, ha! Phone locked. Passcodes on everything. Passcode on the passcode. Fingerprints, everything. The internet history search, blocked, all that. Everything blocked. We don't know where you've been, who you've been with. Your name ain't even John no more. You got all kinds of alias like Knight Rider, Black Love. You got to intercept phone bills. Then you got to get a second phone, another cell phone, and that bill goes to a P.O. box. Somebody here saying, I don't believe he's telling all my, I don't believe. You knew he was going to preach this. That's why you brought me in here. You're going to preach that stuff in there. This is the anxiety around. There's an anxiety and stress that comes with hiding. The anticipating exposure, the ominous pending moment. Will this ever come out? How many people know? I wonder who she's told about us. I wonder if she's sharing this with friends. I wonder if he's talked about me to somebody. All this stuff, the anxiety of being exposed. When I was in Bible college, I remember this story we were told. This is a true story. There was a man and a woman who went to a KFC in San Diego. They pull up to drive-through at KFC in San Diego, and they're planning a little cookout picnic, a private picnic with each other. It's daytime. They pull up to the drive-through, order the food. They pay for the food, get the chicken and the side orders and the drink. They put the food in the backseat of the car, and they go on to this little secluded, wooded area where they lay out a blanket for this romantic rendezvous picnic. They lay out the blanket, they pull out plates and forks, and when they get everything out, she opens the lid to get the chicken, and inside the bucket is no chicken, it's all cash. I mean, money stacked up in there. And they're shocked. They later find out that the manager of the store had been robbed before, and one of the ways that he tricked criminals in that area was he wouldn't keep his cash in the cash register. He would hide cash in various chicken buckets around there. Well, this time, one of the new people handed the people the cash bucket instead of the chicken. The manager is at the store pacing the floor. He's mad at people. He's fussing. He had to call headquarters. He's just going to lose his job now because they told him not to do that. You don't put cash in the chicken bucket like that. And so he's going to lose his job. Meanwhile, the couple at their little rendezvous, they pack their stuff up because the man says, we can't do this. We can't keep this money. They don't even touch the money. They put the bucket and everything back in the car, drive back to the restaurant, walked inside, not through drive-through, walked inside and says, I think this belongs to you. The manager was so happy to see him. He embraced them, hugged them, was saying, they don't make them like you no more. Man, thank you so much. He says, all your money is there. I appreciate it. He said, wait a minute, man, what's your name? He says, nah, that's cool, man. You ain't gonna. What's your name? He said, hey. He got the guy work for him. He says, take a picture with us. We're going to put this in the newspaper. He said, nah, I can't get no picture. He said, man, bring your wife in here so I want to thank y'all for this. He says, nah, man, I'm good. The man followed him out the store and was going to say something to him and his wife to thank him, and he stopped like this. He said, man, that's not my wife. I can't be in the paper. I don't want my wife to see this. I said, wow, isn't that amazing? You can have it together in one area of your life. You can have so much integrity, you won't keep money that belongs to you, but lack so much character, you can keep some side chicken. You'll get it later. What is it like to deal with the stress and the anxiety? What are those costs? What is the emotional cost, the psychological cost, the spiritual cost, the financial cost that just it's a running tab. Whenever you've been unfaithful, you just got this running tab of what will happen? What are the consequences? What will happen in my life? What is it like to be in that situation, to live like that? What if we get caught? Because you know what happens when people get in an inappropriate side chick relationship for too long, they start getting sloppy. Used to be real tight with your stuff. Now you start slipping up. Now y'all got caught. Everything was down low. Everything was in the dark. Everything was over her house. Nothing was out in public. Now y'all be out. Y'all people starting to notice. Y'all laugh too much together. You don't even work in the mailroom. You be down in the mailroom. And you start wondering, will somebody pick up on the scent of my infidelity? And somebody can know. People who discern can say, something ain't right with y'all. Something ain't right with y'all. Number 4. Look at Genesis 16:4. Genesis 16:4. Here's another sign. This is what I would call a sign of whether or not, here's how you can tell if you're a woman. Here's how you can tell if you're a side chick. Or if you're on the way to be one. Watch this. Everybody listening now. Abram, after his wife told him you can have sex with her and have a baby, watch this. Abram, verse 4, had sexual relations with Hagar. She became pregnant, but when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress, Sarai, with contempt. Watch this. When she became pregnant, she changed the way she treated her mistress. Here's an identification. You know you're a side chick when the way you interact with a man's wife changes. When you have disdain for a man's wife, that's an indication that you're a side chick. And side chicks have difficulty hiding their disdain for their lover's wife, for the person they're interested in's wife. Let me read it like I put it up there. Side chicks develop a natural dislike for the wife that's difficult to mask. In other words, and by the way, the wife picks it up immediately. Because by and large, women know when somebody has an unhealthy, inappropriate attraction to their husband. Women know that immediately. They pick up on it. Even when it's subtle to other people, it screams to that wife. She be all on it. Women just like, they got it. They just like, really? Okay. You be playing spades and you just talking about, yeah, in my books, you play good. And he's like, yeah, okay. Wife know it. And your wife bring it up to you, you be like, go ahead with that. Ain't nothing but Vivian. You know me and Vivian went to 4th grade together. Used to pick each other. Come on now. That's Vivian. A woman knows. If any woman here knows that you know, just talk back to me and say amen. Women know. They know. They know. And let me tell you something. The moment, if you're close to a married man and you're a woman, the moment your respect for his wife goes down is the moment you need to move away from that relationship. Whatever the reason. Once you stop valuing her, if you can't value both of them, you don't need to be around either one of them. The moment, let me say something, because your disdain for her is a revelation of your attraction to him. And we got to pay attention to our true feelings. I don't care why it happened. Maybe he in confidence shared something about her dysfunctions, about her deficiencies that he should have never even told you, because that's their personal business and that's about loyalty. He should have never told you. But however your opinion of her went down, whether it's because of that or you think you'd be a better wife to her, to him than she is, when you get to that point, it's time for you to roll. Because you ought to respect family enough to say, I'm not going to break this family up. And I don't play with this. See, it's the same thing with a man. It's not just a side chick, it's a side slick. That's what you call a dude. If I'm a man and I'm close to a married woman, the moment my respect for her husband goes down is the moment that relationship needs to change. If she shared something with me that made me disrespect him and not appreciate him, I might be tempted to rescue her out of a situation that ain't none of my business. It ain't my job to rescue her. And if I start feeling that way, I need to back off. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? See, you got to respect family. At the end of the day, it ain't about what you want or I find them attraction. I done found my soulmate. How you going to call that your soulmate? They already married. That's a lie. The devil is a lie. You got to put family above all that stuff. Family matters. Your children matters. Your legacy matters. Your name matters. Your reputation matters more than your little feelings about somebody that turns you on and y'all got a lot in common. The hell with that. Family matters. That's what I'm talking about. Your family means more than your feelings. Oh, the cussing this month. Go tweet that. Your family's more important than your feelings with your little punk self. Always about your feelings. Your mama made you do whatever you felt like doing. That's why your little punk butt can't stay in a relationship, because your little mama spoils you. Now when your wife stands up to you, you can't stand in there and hang in there with your family because freaky Keisha keep giving you butt on the side. I know what I'm talking about. Let me sit back down. Let me sit my little self right back down. And so what I was... See, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Everybody want to calculate how much he said about the men, how much he said to the women. I'm being led by God. Whatever I say, you need to hear. If I say 5 things to men, 4 things to women, don't make no difference. You do what you're supposed to do and stop calculating what I'm saying. If you right, you all right. If you ain't right, get right. Stop trying to say, you need to say something to her. That's that punk stuff. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Boy, I should have took my meds this morning. I don't know what my problem is. Whoo! I really didn't mean to do all this. I'm just having a conversation. We just had the lunch. Family matters. Write that down. Here's number 5. Genesis 21, verse 8. Now, Abraham and Sarah ended up having their own baby named Isaac. They were real old when they had it. But he had another baby by the side chick named Hagar. They had a son named Ishmael. In Genesis chapter 21, verse 8, listen to this. When Isaac grew up and was about to be weaned, Abraham prepared a huge feast to celebrate the occasion. But Sarah saw Ishmael, watch this, the son of Abraham and her Egyptian servant Hagar, making fun of her son Isaac. She turned to Abram and demanded, get rid of that slave woman and her son. He is not going to share the inheritance with my son Isaac. I won't have it. Verse 11. This upset Abraham very much because Ishmael was his son. But God told Abraham, do not be upset over the boy and your servant. Do whatever Sarah tells you, for Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. Verse 14. So Abram got up early the next morning, prepared food in a container of water, strapped him on Hagar's shoulders. Then he sent her away with their son, and she wandered aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba. Here's what you need to know, ladies. If you're a side chick, remember this. You're a convenience, not a commitment. Trust me, when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to choose, am I going to choose my miracle or my mistake? Am I going to choose Isaac or Ishmael? Am I going to choose Sarah or Hagar? At the end of the day, let me tell you something. No man in his right mind. I ain't talking about when he's horny and selfish. I'm talking about when a man is in his right mind and he's thinking about his values, he's thinking about his family, he's thinking about his priorities. He ain't going to leave you. He ain't going to leave his wife for you. I don't care what he says to string the relationship along. He is not going to leave his family for you. So guess what? When the rubber meets the road, you're a convenience, not a commitment. Get that. You're not, listen, you're a relief, not a relationship. You're a relief pitcher, not a starter. You know anything about baseball? The starters don't even, listen, the relief pitchers don't even sit with the rest of the team. You watch baseball, they way out there in something called the dugout, waiting on a moment when they might be needed. Most nights they don't even get called. And guess what? When they get called, they don't get called by name. They don't even call them by name. They just go like this. That means one a right-hander. Give me a left-hander. They call them by body parts. That's what you are when you're a side chick. You're a 1:30 a.m. booty call body part. And you chose to be. And who cares if you had him all day? If he went home that night, you're still lost. And some of you got to rise up, but you're so, see, here's the problem. Side chicks are so desperate that you'll take attention from a man without having his allegiance. Some of you so pressed, some man done texted you while you was in church. He's with his wife, slipped in the bathroom and texted you, and you smiling while you're breaking up that family. You're just happy for his attention, even if you can't have his devotion. Because you're so desperate and so weak, you'll take a half a man rather than to wait on God to give you a whole one. Come up higher. You're better than that. You're better than that. Let me give you a takeaway. That done got me wound up here. Here's a takeaway for all single side chicks. If you don't stop being second, you'll never be first. You'll never be first, and you'll never be only either. And there's a difference between being first and being only. You ain't gonna be either. Because second is a mentality. I don't want to be second in nothing. It's second nothing. I get angry about second. I don't even want a tie. I win. You understand what I'm saying? I win. We're going to break the tie. Shoot. See, Leah, let me read this in Genesis 29. Here's a woman that had, I'm just going to summarize it. She had 6 children by this man, and if you read her story, 3 of the sons, she named them stuff hoping he would love her. Like she said, maybe this time he'll love me. Maybe this time he'll respect me. I know my husband will love me now. 6 children, hoping this man. I had 6 of his sons. I know he's going to love me now. Never happened. Single people want something out of an inappropriate relationship that you'll never get. Because it's not built for that, especially if you're saved. God's not going to bless that. I'm going to tell you right now, he is not going to bless an inappropriate relationship. You got to make it right. Here's why you'll never be first or only if you continue to play second. It's not just the fact that being second becomes a mentality. See, some women have developed a second mentality. You think it's okay to be second. You're like, man, well, half a man better than no man. I'm saying you got to have an attitude, I'd rather be alone than to mess a family up. And stop talking about he on his way to getting divorced. They got the paperwork in. You mean you can't find a totally single man? You know how many people were on their way to get divorced that end up getting reconciled with each other, and here you are in the way of that? Leave that family alone. Mind your business. You're messing up, so you just stay out of the way of what God might be doing in that situation. You cannot be second, continue to be second, and end up being first or only. Because there's an agricultural law called the law of the harvest. There's a psychological law called the law of reciprocity. And here's how that law works. The law means you reap what you sow. That's what the law means. One of the reasons why you can't be second and end up first or only is because when you have an affair with someone and you continue this inappropriate relationship for years, it damages the marriage and the family. And it prevents that family and marriage from being its best. So all the time that he's invested in you, time, energy, money, creativity, his family and wife can never recuperate that. And a man who has a side chick will never work on his marriage. Why should he work on his marriage? Every dysfunction in his marriage is comforted by the side chick. So whenever he's upset, he just goes to the side chick. So now the marriage continues to suffer. So here's the point. If you reap what you sow, and you've sown damage to a marriage, even if it wasn't your intention to do it, you're damaging your own marriage. Well, you say, but I'm not married. That's my point. If you don't repent, how can you ever expect to have a loving, committed, stable marriage? You reap what you sow. You ought to love your future enough to not be messing with somebody that's married. Yeah. Let me give one takeaway for married side chicks. This is deep. See, when you're married and you're a side chick, that's real dangerous because of the violence that's at risk. See, husbands can be the most unfaithful people in the world. As soon as their wife go unfaithful, he want to kill everybody involved. It's really crazy. I can't take it, Pastor. You can't be serious. I can't take it. You brought it into the house. You created the environment. Look at, but it's true. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 26. Give me that. You got Proverbs 6:26? Proverbs 6:26. Watch this. A prostitute will bring you to poverty. She takes your money. But sleeping with another man's wife will cost you your life. That's real. You should read Proverbs 6. It's good. You should read the Bible. It's really a very, very good book. Is it really worth dying for? Let me tell you something. There is no sex worth dying for. Is it worth you seeing your husband murdered? Or another man murdered? Or your children watch their father go to prison? Count the cost. Hey, before I close, remember that lady who was picking up people on Facebook because her husband was out of town? That's Proverbs 7. Husband was on a long trip and she walked around and found some young dude. Said, I know when he's coming back, verse 20, he took a pocket full of money. Remember that? Let's pick that story up already in progress. Verse 21. So she seduced him with her pretty speech, enticed him with her flattery. He followed her at once like an ox going to the slaughter. He was like a stag caught in a trap, awaiting the arrow that would pierce his heart. He was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. So listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your heart stray away toward her. Don't wander down her wayward path, for she has been the ruin of many. Many men have been her victims. Her house is the road to the grave. Her bedroom is a den of death. She said, my bed is covered in aloes and cinnamon. She should have said, it's covered in embalming fluid. Is it worth it? Sometimes you got to do what's right. I would encourage every married side chick to end that inappropriate relationship, get close to the Lord, and get in some counseling. Whether your spouse gets in it with you or not, you let God deal with your spouse. You do what's right. And before you ever become another side chick or get in another inappropriate relationship, at least have the decency to get a divorce first. I'm not even for divorce, but I'm just saying if you're going to do it. Because I think there are a lot more questions involved than just what you want. What's best for your children? For your legacy? For your family? For your extended family? What's best for your Christian witness? You know, the hard thing about this message is, you know, when I preach stuff like God's going to turn it, He's going to turn it, it's going to be all right. It's all right. Even though, yet will I. People will text me, send me, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That word was for me, Pastor. That word was for me. People ain't telling me that today. Ain't nobody saying that was for me. That was for me. But I don't know. Nobody won't say that was for me. But it was. It's for all of us. It's a rescue word if you're in to say, God, get me out. It's a protection word if you're not already in, saying, God, keep me out. Because I don't care. When you leave church, it's all intense in here now. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. But let me tell you something. By Thursday, you lonely and horny, and your favorite slow jam playing, and you think about it, like, Dad, how you doing? That's when you need to play the message over. It's when you need to say, God, I'd rather do the right thing and be lonely than do the wrong thing and wreck somebody's family or ruin somebody's life, even my own life. So if you're here today, I'm going to tell you what I know. If you're like 99% of us, you're not going to be able to do this without God. I don't know the 1% that can do it without God, but they don't come to church. See, I don't come to church to play. Let me tell you about me. I need the Lord. Did you hear that? I need him. And I have a sneaky suspicion you do too. You ain't coming here for